to do it like this now. Yes. Sweet. I'll put on the comments. Let me refresh this page. All right. Let's see. Boom. All right. Now it's reading live. Share. Group. There's two main ones I have to do this in. And then group. And then RevDev. So how are you today as people stare at me while I share this all over the world?
I got to stare at both of us. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Anything crazy happened this week that we might need to know of?
Well, there's always something like crazy good or just crazy happening in our industry. So I'm sure that we will dive into that.
I'm sure we will. I will say for anybody who is watching now or later, or listening to it later to go into an audio form, if you do have any questions or concerns or anything you want to throw at us, please let us know. If we don't get to it right now, we will absolutely get to it later and answer all your questions. So, Wendy, if you don't mind, tell everyone who you are, what you do, how you do it, and all that good jazz.
All right. Well, I'll try to get to some of that.
Okay.
So, hello to everyone. I'm Wendy Forsyth. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at eXp. And I guess my short story is probably like many of you, I have been a serial real estate professional my entire career. Started my career as an agent, owned my own brokerage for a number of years, sold that business and started working on the corporate side, and have spent the last 15 years working with some of the top brands in North America, helping people and companies grow their real estate businesses.
Exactly. When I was
Just
that's
that.
right. Yeah. When I looked you up on LinkedIn to get a little bit of information, I was like scroll, because the list of things and accomplishments you've
Like,
been able to.
get it out.
I want to give you a compliment too. That's why it was like mixing.
That's a great word. We should trademark that, a compliment.
Put it, put
We
it
should
on a
get that on
t-shirt.
a t-shirt.
Yep. You and I, we're right here. But it was
Marketing.
yeah, exactly. But it was a crazy good list. And here's some other things. Obviously, CMO of eXp, which is Chief Marketing Officer, but been in real estate for approximately 30 years.
Yeah. Don't take me.
I want people to know where all this knowledge is coming from.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Like I said, career, like real estate is the only career I've ever had.
Yeah, oh wow, that's cool. So, we might get into that then. But also the CEO or president of various coaching companies. Chief Strategy Officer of Fathom and Home Smart International, Senior Vice President of Networking Services of Better Homes and Garden, along with CEO, VP, or Senior Vice President, Executive VP, and President of other real estate companies. Yes, it was a lot. So if anybody is interested, in the description, you will see the LinkedIn link. Just click that. But on top of that, Ironman and marathoner as well.
Yes, the fun stuff, the real fun stuff.
Yeah. Which I'm sure you find some of the stuff that's challenging in that and you bring it into what you do today.
Yeah, well, I mean, endurance sport, right? And the endurance it takes for a real estate career, I think are really kind of connected there.
Yeah.
But I love sports. Grew up like, in competitive sports. I think that, taking care of yourself, if physically and mentally, is hugely important and allows us to excel professionally.
Yeah.
And so, I'm training for a race later this fall right now, but try to work in like those goals on the fitness side of things at same, parallel to the goals that I have professionally.
Yeah, that's huge. And do you find in in the areas that you'd like to grow in terms of the business side, do you find that looking for people that have that type of background, either athletics or something like that, does that help in the talent search that you do?
Yeah, it is. So when I am interviewing people and talking with people, a question I often ask is about sports, whether they have played sports, follow sports. And I do that for a couple of reasons. I think it tells you a lot about a person. And, and it doesn't mean that we all have to be like athletes, right? But even as a sports fan, I think that it tells you a lot about how like somebody thinks, right?
Right.
So I like that kind of social science and human psychology of what we do, because it's so much about connecting with people and understanding people and meeting people where they're at.
Right.
I also, because I am such a sports fan, um, tend to use sports analogies and metaphors at times. So I want to know, like, if you are not a sports fan, I'm not going to, use that metaphor or analogy. If you are, then, I may lean into that as we're getting to know one another and talking about things.
Have you ever heard of the locker room coaching?
Yes, I have.
They use sports analogies on everything. Literally, strategies are called plays. It's
Yep.
like, we're going to run this play today. So, very much, yes.
And
And
I think about that, right? Like we talk a lot about like, well, what is the playbook? Let's develop the playbook for
yeah,
that. One of the, I think, most or just like most brilliant areas to learn from, in particular, are football coaches. So, Don Shula and like all of those books. Like if you see a book written by a football coach, like that's probably a great leadership book. So have always sort of leaned heavily into that.
yeah. So, by running through some of those books, what is a quote or something you pulled from there that's really helped you in the leadership role?
Yeah, I think we just touched on one of the areas, and that is like making sure that the team knows the playbook, right? And
Right.
pulling from that kind of metaphor in sports. And we were just talking about football. I'm big hockey fan, so I'm Canadian, so hockey's in
Mm,
my blood. So same sort of thing. Like you need to know when you're out on the field or out in the ice, like what are the plays. Our
right.
teams need to know, what is the play? What are we looking to accomplish here? How are we going to do that? How does that need to change?
Yeah.
Uh, I think the other thing that I think a lot and have learned from, studying, leadership through that sort of sports coach lens is, you need multiple coaches or multiple inspiration points, mentors, whatever you want to call them, to
Right.
really be well rounded, right? Any sort of athlete, whether professional or amateur athlete, doesn't tend to have one coach, right? You have a coach for different areas that you're trying to improve on. And when you think of, our businesses, we have different coaches and different mentors for different
Yep.
skills, different areas that we're trying to develop in our businesses. So I think that the sporting world gives us a really great analogy and a really great playbook to bring over into our professional lives. And so that would be one area that I pull from.
Yeah, and it sounds like, if somebody already gets that concept, they might be an easier fit or a better fit for when you're talent searching too, because they already get that concept. They already understand it.
Yeah, and even like I do a lot of strategy conversations with team leaders and agents, and when you're trying to build your real estate business, depending on your skill set, your natural aptitude, the stage that you're at, you have different needs along the way and different
Right.
people that can help you with that. So understanding who's the right person, who's the right coach, mentor, community, and aligning that with where you're at, I think is an important part of strategy.
Yeah, okay. And I've got questions, but I got somewhere where I'd like to go with that is, say somebody's watching this now and obviously they're interested in marketing.
Yeah.
Who is a mentor or someone that they could follow that could help them in their marketing journey? Let's just stick to real estate sales.
Well, I am I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
I got his V Friends stuff right here. He
that's
just came out with V Friends. Yep.
as he just published a new book earlier this year, all about day trading attention. In fact, that's the name of the book. It is a playbook for what modern marketing is all about today. For anybody listening or watching us, like if you're looking for a playbook in your business, go get that book. Get the hard copy. Gary says this, right? When he talks about it, like get the hard copy, get the highlighter, get the like notes out, and like it will tell you your playbook of building your brand online, engaging with consumers, building that top of funnel, follow, like the whole playbook is there.
Yeah.
So that is one person that like I follow. Another one that has just had a tremendous impact on me is Will Guidara. And Will is the author of Unreasonable Hospitality. And Will, I'm going to give a shameless plug, is one of our speakers at eXpCon in Miami. So yes, so if you haven't gotten your eXpCon ticket, go get your eXpCon ticket. We'll see you in Miami. But Will was one of the co-founders of, one of the high-end restaurants in New York. 11 Madison Park is the name of the restaurant. And he built that whole business on the premise that providing great customer service is an art. Yeah. And it is an honorable differentiator in the restaurant business that applies to all aspects of business, and so many parallels align directly with what all of you do every day, serving buyers and sellers, that it's a great book. And I'm excited to hear him talk in Miami.
Yeah, same. Yes, exactly. I will say Gary Vee was a big influence of mine too. And I think one of the big things that he says that I tell people is to be incredibly authentic. Don't try to fake the funk or be someone you're not. He is big on just you being you, and you will attract the ones that you want to work with, which is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
What is your role as CMO?
So as CMO, I am responsible for leading the team that oversees essentially the eXp brand globally. So here domestically in the US and in Canada and in the 22 other countries that we operate in overseas. So that means sort of everything from a look, a feel, a messaging, the tools and programs that all of you can utilize in your business as part of the eXp community. Marketing plays a part in bringing that all to life. Yeah. I would say, the way that I view it is our job is to try to give you guys air cover to make your jobs a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And every day that can change a little bit, but like from a strategic perspective, it really is getting the eXp brand and tools and services that you all use out there in the market so that you can use them.
Yeah. And what is one of the, let's say, KPIs, like let's say the number one KPI that you look at to ensure that the marketing is actually working for not only leadership, but also the agents in the field?
Yeah. So I'm actually a numbers person. I really like numbers. And a lot of people think that marketing is not about numbers. And marketing actually is heavily dependent on numbers. Right. I use the phrase modern marketing a lot because marketing has changed substantially with the ability to do things like this, and with digital media becoming such a core part of what marketing is.
Oh yeah.
So from a very sort of fundamental level, and I think that you guys will relate to this, right? We send you emails. We send you a lot of emails. Say we send you too many emails. Please read our emails because it's one of the primary ways that we communicate with all of you. But we look at, from a KPI perspective, how many emails were opened, what were the click-throughs on the emails, and then we regroup and we look at like, how can we improve that, right? We A/B test format, content, subject lines, all of those things. By the way, all the same things all of you should be doing in all of your emails that go to your database. So every function we do has a KPI attached to it. We do a lot on social media. So we're looking at those insights on social media almost daily. What posts are getting engagement, what's getting comments, what's getting likes, what's getting shared, what's working, what's not working, what formats are working and not working. So all of those numbers are tracked daily as well. So anything that we do has a number attached to it.
As it should, as it should. I'm a numbers guy too. What, in terms of real estate, I'm gonna try to stick to real estate.
Yeah.
In terms of real estate sales, what format have you found works best? So as somebody that maybe just entering the social media space says they don't want to focus on 8 to 9 platforms, maybe just one, which one would you recommend?
In terms of which platform itself?
Yeah, like social media platform.
Yeah. Got it. I think it depends on the person, right?
Yeah,
So you mentioned about like leaning into your own authenticity. If you're not comfortable with being sort of on camera and doing video, I wouldn't recommend TikTok.
right,
As example, right? There's a misalignment there on your personality. Instagram is hugely popular in our business. It's hugely effective. We see agents leverage Instagram in different ways. Again, video and short form video is sort of king from a content perspective out there in the world. But there's different ways to do that video. It doesn't always have to be sort of you talking on video. I know some agents that do very little of that, but they do other sort of creative things to leverage video. I'd say the top three really are Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, I encourage for a different reason. It's a very different platform than the others. We can circle back to that, but the rounding out kind of the club there would be TikTok and YouTube. So we have some agents that are huge on YouTube, but aren't really doing a whole lot on Facebook. Maybe don't even have a Facebook account, right? Like it's aligning your strengths and your sweet spot and also understanding where your target market is, right? Where are the
right,
buyers and sellers you're trying to connect with? Where are they hanging out? You want to be on those platforms.
right. Okay. So can we do this? Could I name a platform and then you tell the audience what strength works best for that platform, giving it a very broad understanding? Because there is a lot of little details, obviously.
Yeah.
But could we do that for anybody who's listening? Is like, oh, well, that's my strength. I think I do well there.
Yeah, let's go. I love it.
All right. Facebook.
Community. So if you have a large sphere of influence, Facebook's going to work well with you.
Okay. Instagram.
Visual. Instagram, you got to be like highly visual, whether it's, great photography, interesting, still photos and or video and a mixture of both. If that is of interest to you and you do well in that, you'll kill it on Instagram.
Okay. LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is business. Like I think of LinkedIn as like going on like that professional interview. Like LinkedIn is where I want to really bring my like knowledge gain and share it on LinkedIn. So a mistake people often do is put the same content across the different platforms. And on LinkedIn, LinkedIn, you're much more, I would say, formal in that I think of LinkedIn of like, okay, how would I talk if we were going on a job interview versus how would I talk to my friends at the cocktail party? That's what I'm going to do at Facebook. And then
Right.
when I'm over on Instagram, I'm just at the big networking event, like yelling out loud, like trying to meet as many people as I can.
That's a great way to look at it. You're the same person, you're just dressing differently, depending on what the crowd you're looking at or the crowd that you're going into. That's good. What about YouTube?
YouTube is very much about like obviously video content. But I think that traditionally it's been sort of longer form content, right?
Yeah.
YouTube Shorts is a big opportunity right now. So I would lean into YouTube Shorts, which are slightly longer in length than you might do on Instagram or TikTok, but it is there's two areas in social media that going into 2025, we're going to see the platforms want us to go play in.
Mm-hmm.
And that is YouTube Shorts. So if you get in early there and build momentum, you'll be rewarded for that by the YouTube algorithms.
Yeah.
The other area is back to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is getting into video. So LinkedIn has felt sort of left out of the short form video game, and they're getting into that game and are going to reward content creators that start putting video up on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I saw they have a video tab at the bottom now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they want to get, which they should have probably gotten that game a little bit sooner, but I do understand the platform is a little bit more professional as well. So
Yeah.
if you were going to go on YouTube, you would say the opportunity is, again, somebody who is okay with being on camera, but more short form in the beginning and then
Yeah.
move to longer form.
Yeah, I would say start with shorts and then, like build out your sort of channel authority, get those subscribers to your channel and get that like algorithmic momentum going for you. Every social channel changes their algorithms all the time.
Yeah.
They do that, I think, just to think, whether or not we're paying attention. The latest thing that has kind of been hitting and causing a bit of talk in the marketing world is the use of hashtags. So some people are speculating that, hashtags are dead, that if you add hashtags to your content, there's a whole breakdown of like how that might be limiting who the algorithm exposes your content to. So it's always a changing landscape to stay up to date with. What I recommend to people is worry about it, but don't worry about it, right? Worry more about putting out consistent value add content and worry less about, what did Facebook change on their algorithm? What did LinkedIn, what did Instagram change on their algorithm? If you're putting out really good content, the algorithm is going to figure that out. So there's, lots more strategies that you can get into on that, but consistency and great content, will win.
Yeah, I feel like that word belongs in every sentence of life, personal and professional. It's just consistent.
Yeah.
And then I'll do a few more platforms. X, formerly known Twitter.
Yeah. X is we're all like figuring it out again, right? Through the ups and downs. I think that, you still see people with huge engagement on X, but what I see on X more is like business to business engagement or thought leader to thought leader engagement. If I were selling as an agent right now, I don't know if X is where I'm going to go to connect with my buyers and sellers and like, fill the funnel or convert from X. I think X has moved into a different sort of lane.
Yeah. I actually took it off my home screen because I just it wasn't converting like the other ones. So to make that like a specific thing I focused on wasn't really hitting it. Two more.
Yeah, two more.
This was a pop quiz. Wonder if you've heard of it. Lemon 8.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know a lot about it though. Like I haven't signed up. I haven't been on it. So don't have a lot of insights there.
I've heard of it too. I did sign up. Haven't seen much traction, but Gary V mentality. It's important to be first in a lot of things.
Really, yeah. Like I was all in on Clubhouse when that first launched,
yeah, Clubhouse. Yep.
And it was like usually like get in early, to learn, but haven't checked that one out yet. I've been a little busy.
Just whatever. And then how about this one? This one's actually helped me out a ton. Workplace. What about workplace?
Workplace. Oh goodness, I sigh with
Although
that.
it's going away.
It's going away. Yeah. So when I joined eXp, I have to say, like one of the steep learning curves was adjusting to chat and workplace. Because like we live on workplace chat and workplace groups. So just as I was feeling like, oh, this is awesome, of course, Facebook made their announcement that they're retiring it. So We're looking at like what we're going to use as a replacement as an organization for workplace. But I am kind of sad that it is going away. It just means, change management for all of us that have used it.
Yeah, agreed. I love Workplace. It's served us very well, and I've saw some of because I'm in the beta group, so I've seen some of the conversations. So it'd be interesting. I will say it's helped on the YouTube side.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody who's listening out there, and you are with eXp or any other company that uses Workplace, finding those work groups that fit well with the content that you're pushing out on more of a long form. For me, the YouTube stuff has helped.
I can give an insider tip.
Please.
So insider tip, we have been piloting and really digging into Discord as a potential workplace platform. So if any of you out there have heard of Discord or haven't heard of Discord, go check it out. It's a really interesting platform.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he's taking a note.
Well, funny you say that. Discord came on a lot of people. Tell me if you disagree. On a lot of people's radar once the pandemic hit, there was a lot of what is it called? The digital
Gamers.
Gamers for sure are on Discord, but the digital things. Some like VFriends was part of it. The digital.
The NFTs.
NFTs. Yep. And then part of their value add, they would go to Discord. VFriends is on Discord.
Yeah.
It could be, you're gonna need some classes around people learning it, but it's been good for what you need it for.
Yeah. So it's an interesting platform. I think that we'll start to hear more about Discord as companies like ours need to make, choices about what they do with workplace going away. And it's definitely an alternative we're considering.
Right. Okay. Very good. Well, I appreciate that. What are some of the largest roadblocks eXp will face this year in terms of marketing?
In terms of marketing, I don't think that you can segment it to marketing. I mean, we're going through a tremendous time of change in our industry. So, with the NAR settlement and the changes that brought about in August, I think that impacted all of us. So we were very involved in getting out in front of those changes, in creating our own forms, as I'm sure, all of you know, of really leaning into educating all of you and getting resources in your hands and getting all of our teams, whether on marketing or broker ops or in the field, up to speed on, what is changing, how do we navigate that, how does that work? It's a little bit different for each of you in different states. So that has been very much, an obstacle. It's not something, it's not like we sat and said like, okay, here's an initiative we want to take on. It was, given to us by factors out of our control, but how we responded to it, we could very much control. And we wanted to respond from the front. So, Leo Perea, our CEO, went out early. We took some knocks from the industry and some people saying like, okay, well, how do you know? What do you do? Why is eXp doing that? And, we did that in terms of creating our own forms because the local associations, the state associations weren't doing it.
Mm-hmm.
When, that date in August was clicking through, we had to make sure you were all prepared to go service your buyers and your sellers. So, creating our buyers toolkit. If any of you haven't checked out the buyers and the sellers toolkit, it's online. It's exptoolkits.com/seller or /buyer, depending on which one you're looking at. We update those daily as we're getting new information in, because things are changing daily. Updates are coming out daily. We're providing updates there. So, that has been a huge, challenge, obstacle, and opportunity all rolled into one. One of the things I love about eXp and about Glenn Sanford and Leo Perea and our entire leadership team is we have always been the company to lead from the front is the phrase I used earlier.
Yeah.
But we were founded on the premise of disruption and change and opportunity. And no matter what gets thrown at us, we'll continue to lead through those opportunities to support all of you in your businesses.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Um, so I will say, I was talking to somebody, and I think I was talking to Leo about this as well, but I feel like I'm at a different brokerage every year. And, people switch maybe out of eXp to go to a different brokerage. And I'm sitting here allowing this fluid thing called eXp to adjust and change its model, its system, its marketing. And every year I'm at a different brokerage, although it's the same. But you don't stick
Yeah.
like a stick in the mud, and it just doesn't matter, and it never changes. And then you kind of get what you always get. You're willing to change, and it's much appreciated. And for agents like myself, we appreciate it.
Thank you. And I think that's an important call out, for agents in the industry to really think about is that through all of these changes, like it is important that the brokerage you're with is adapting to what's happening in the market.
Yeah.
And I think one of the advantages we have is our ability, even though we're the largest brokerage by agent count in the country, to do that and to make sure that all of you are fully supported through that. I talk to a lot of agents who aren't with eXp who are feeling a little bit lost now. And it's one of the reasons we opened up, our toolkits that I was just talking about, our forms that we created. We said, look, like we don't want to be in the form business. And when, your local association gets this figured out, go use their forms. But in the meantime, feel free to take ours, right?
Yeah.
Like take what you need to operate your business and serve the buyer and the seller. That's for the greater good of our industry, right?
Yeah.
Like, above all else, like when we serve from that servant leadership heart, we do the right things.
That's right. Yep. And again, much appreciated because we use that to hand out to other agents who may not necessarily, especially for maybe some of the smaller firms that aren't adjusting as fast. It's
Yeah.
been a really good tool. So we appreciate that. What is the biggest, no, I want to ask this actually before that. What is something that we should be looking at as agents in terms of marketing that you see that's going to happen, let's say 5 years from now, that maybe we could get the jump on, like Eliminate, but like something that we could get the jump on before maybe other people are getting on it? What do you see coming in the future that we could focus on now that will pay dividends in 5 years?
Yeah. I don't know if I have the crystal ball for 5
Why
years,
not, Wendy?
but I'll give you like 90 days and going into 2025.
That
And
works.
that would be start to leverage, Chat GPT and open AI abilities. So particularly, let's talk about Chat GPT.
Okay.
So, the using Chat GPT can like help your business in so many ways. And just, just AI in general, right? So one of the tools that you guys may or may not be aware of that we sort of quietly have on the back end supporting all of you is our chat bot Luna. So if you haven't checked out Luna yet, if you have any question, anything to do with eXp, you can chat it into Luna. You can say like, who do I call if I have a question about this? Or how do I change my password? Or where do I find this? Luna will answer all of that. And next year, you're going to start to hear more about Luna because we'll start to use Luna more and more to support all of you. From a Chat GPT perspective, think about custom GPTs. Again, do you want some insider baseball?
No.
No. So
Of course we do.
so in the marketing team, we've built out several custom Chat GPTs. And you guys can do the same for your businesses. So the first thing you want to do is build out your own GPT. So you want to have a proven by Ruben like GPT, and you want to plug into that GPT things like this that you do. So anything that you do, on social, anything that's recorded, and that will program the GPT of how you talk phrases you say, context, and then you can use the GPT to write content for you. So you can tell the GPT, write me 5 LinkedIn posts, on, and you can give it a topic or whatever in my voice. And you can say, when you tell it it's for LinkedIn, it will adjust the tone. Then you can say, like, write 5 LinkedIn posts, or write 5, Instagram posts, or give me a video script for this. So you could take this recording that we're doing, throw it into your Proven by Ruben GPT and say, give me, 5 Instagram posts, give me 2 LinkedIn posts, and give me 2 Facebook posts based on this video. And it will give you all of that content. Now that content will be, I'm going to say, about 80% of where you want it.
Right.
The technology doesn't replace completely the human touch. So like take the 80% and then like do some edits to make sure that it sounds like you, it feels like you, but it will speed up content creation. Same thing with listings, right? Like take your listings, pipe in all of the information on a listing into ChatGPT and ask that GPT to do all the same things for you. So you can move along content creation. So
Right.
from your eXp marketing team's perspective, we have a number of custom GPTs to do all of those, to help us with content creation. We also have custom GPTs for Leo Perea, our CEO, for Glenn Sanford, our founder and CEO of eXp World Holdings. So if we're doing content to support them, we are able to use the GPT to write and talk in their voice and prepare in their voice. So if Leo's doing a presentation and asks for help on, preparing for a CNN interview, for example,
Yeah.
BBC interview, which we've done both of just recently, we'll use GPT to help him get his talking points and notes together. So there's all kinds of ways. I haven't even touched on automations. So ChatGPT is definitely something I would lean into. And I'll give another shameless plug. Seth Ziegler, who's our Chief Innovation Officer, just did an executive masterclass on AI. So go to eXp Life and you'll find that there. So if you're looking to really dig into that and get some sort of basic how-tos, but then also some vision of where it's going, Seth did a great job on that masterclass.
I love that. Okay, cool. Do you feel as if there needs to be 2 different ChatGPT? So if somebody's using it also in their personal, or do you shove it all into one and you can ask it personal questions and business questions, and essentially it's going to sound like you and give your flavor?
You can, so when you do your custom GPTs, that's where I would break that up.
Mm,
So when you create your custom GPT, you could do, I don't know if I would think of it in terms of personal or professional, but I would
okay.
think of it in terms of the audience. So if I'm
Mm,
telling the chat GPT to write me a Facebook post, then you can tell the GPT, like, my tone and voice on Facebook is like this, versus
right.
I want my tone and voice and messaging on LinkedIn to be like this.
Right.
And when the GPT gives you responses, you can help it like do better. So you can sort of give it the thumbs down and
Mhm.
say, make this post more conversational. And it will rewrite it more conversational. Or you might say, make this post shorter, or rewrite this post in bullet points versus paragraphs. So it is like a conversation back and forth between you and the GPT.
Gotcha. Earlier, I was going to ask, what have you found to be the best open rates for emails and the most engaging post? But do you also run a lot of this through ChatGPT and find out the best performing
Yeah.
one?
Yeah. And it really is a combination of art and science, right? So we might take a subject line and run it through ChatGPT and say, improve improve on this subject line that will ensure like higher open rates.
Right.
And the GPT will come back with some suggestions based on that. And then we'll look at those suggestions. And again, this is where like there's still a human element in all of this. And we'll say, okay, well, we're going to go with this one. And then we'll test it and we'll see. Or we'll ask the GPT, you know, if I am writing an email about EXPCon in Miami, right? Like suggest some subject lines. And then we'll look at those and say, okay, well, that seems to work. That doesn't seem to work. So it is a conversation. Like if you think about the GPT as your brainstorming partner, then like that's how I work with the GPTs is I ask it questions, I give it direction, and then we collaborate back and forth and ideate together.
Yeah, you can tell the people who don't. It's very obvious when somebody's used Chat GPT because it doesn't sound anything like them. So I like the suggestion that you said. You know, start getting it integrated with who you are as a person, so that way it can spit out what you want, but with your sprinkled with your flavor. Because you could definitely tell when some people are using it. You
Yeah,
know,
you can tell when people just copy and
that's
paste.
right.
You put something into Chat GPT and copy and paste it, and it's got all the little icons. It's got
Yeah.
like the little I don't, they're not asterisks, whatever they are like it is a red flag. And the algorithms on the social platforms pick that up instantly too.
Oh, okay. So
Like
they'll kind of blackball it a little bit. Would you say?
I mean, I don't know if that's confirmed, but yes, that is the suspicion, is that the algorithms are looking at those sorts of things and obviously want sort of the human creation to be prioritized.
I can see that. You know, on YouTube, when you upload a video, it's been like this for months, but there's a tab you have to hit to say if any AI has been used on this.
Yeah.
And you know, YouTube being owned by Google, I'm sure they're collecting all this data and finding out the best algorithms for that as well. It's a good
Yeah.
point.
So
Good
I've
point.
said several times, like create your own custom GPT. That is not that hard to do, and there are, there are lots of guidelines out there that could help you for that. But if you're not there yet and you just want to start playing, hopefully we've inspired you to start playing on ChatGPT. Just give the instructions when you type in the field and say, write this in the voice of Wendy Forsyth, real estate agent in North Carolina. This content is targeted towards, sellers in my market. Like, give it that preamble before you give it the ask of what you want it to do. And that way it will go out and it will look at all of your social media, anything that you have online. I call it the breadcrumbs. It will go find all of the breadcrumbs and provide back better content for you to work from.
I like that. That's a great point. Are you in North Carolina?
No, I'm not. I'm in
Oh,
Southern California today, but I know
oh.
you're in North Carolina.
Anyways, I was like, oh, cool, you're from North Carolina. All right.
Us did our homework. I don't know.
Slap to the forehead. I could do better. Here's something for you. What is the biggest obstacle you are facing in continuing to grow?
Time.
Time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like all of us, right? Like we all have the same amount of hours in the day, right? And we all have, lots of things that we want to do in those hours. I just wish we had a few more of them.
Yeah. What
Uh,
do you what tools, strategies, what are you going through to ensure that your top 20%, your priorities are the things that are being accomplished first? What are you doing that maybe someone else could hear that they can implement as well?
yeah, I am a time blocker, calendar ninja. I block everything in my calendar. I block my workouts, I block my personal commitments, I block all of my work stuff. And because it's not just like appointments that I block. I block like from 2 to 2:30, work on this project, right? From 2:30 to 3, do this. Like I have it in 15-minute increments all throughout my day, starting at 5 a.m. in the morning. So everything I do in life happens on that calendar. And for me, that is how I ensure that I'm focusing on the right things, because every Sunday I'll do a look back. So I'll do a look back of the previous week, and like, where did I sort of go? Where do I need to make improvements, right? What didn't I get done? And then I'll do a look ahead of like, what do I need to make sure I get scheduled for the upcoming week? Or what do I need to reprioritize? Because sometimes things like, especially in my world, things will, like meetings will hit your calendar where it's like, okay, is that a meeting or an email, right? Like, is that a meeting or a chat? Like I really like give myself that sort of test very frequently to make sure, and for my team as well. Are we spending our time doing the highest priority activities, and are we doing it when our energy levels are right? And it's another tip that I sort of live by. I'm a morning person, so I like my energy levels are highest in the morning. I try to do the highest priority activities of my day in the beginning hours of the day. So I try to make those adjustments to make sure. And when I'm coaching with real estate agents, I always talk to them about, when do you do your prospecting? You should do your prospecting during your high energy hours of your day, right? And then people will get into the semantics of, well, yeah, I'm a morning person too, but do I call people in the morning? Do I reach them? Do I not reach them? I mean, we all know, like, do it when you can do it. Like that's what I lean into. Don't try to second guess when are people available or what's the best time for them. When it comes to sort of business development activities, prioritize it, get in your calendar, and do it when your energy is high.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm an early person too, and if I can knock it out in the morning, I am, like you just said, highly energized and kind of in my element,
Yeah.
which has helped out. What have you done since you've been doing this? What have you done to help create more time into your calendar? Like, one, you said when a meeting hits, could that be an email? Obviously, that scales more time into your life. What
Yeah.
other little hacks that a listener could listen to say, man, you know what? I could do that and cut another 15, 30 minutes to an hour into my life a day.
Yeah. One of the things there is, I forget, there's an actual like psychological term for this, which I'm forgetting what it is, but the notion of it is, however long you give yourself to do something is how long it will take. So in a
Yes.
very basic premise, if you give yourself an hour to get ready in the morning, it's probably going to take an hour. If you give yourself 30 minutes to get ready in the morning, how long is it going to take?
Yeah.
It's going to take
Yeah.
30 minutes, right?
Yep.
So when you're looking, like when you get really disciplined about your calendar, that's when you can start to look at things like that. So one of the things in a work setting that I do is a lot of times meetings will get scheduled for an hour. There is rarely a meeting that needs to be an hour long. So
Yeah.
for me on my work calendar, like you can only book a 30-minute meeting with me. And in fact, you can only book a 20-minute meeting with me, because I do 20-minute meetings and then I do a 10-minute buffer in between for that. So, if you look at meetings, however long the meeting is, there is actual research that says that the real value of the meeting, that the stuff that needed to get done happens in the last 5 minutes.
Mm,
So there's a
yeah.
lot, and most of us have a lot of buffer in our, lives. So it's
Totally.
really filtering out that buffer so that there's more time to do the things that give us energy, right?
Yes.
I would rather have a shorter meeting with my team and then create more time where we could do something social together, or we
Yeah.
could just like talk about life, or we could ideate, or we could brainstorm, because that's like where the energy comes from. The figuring out the next 3 emails or social posts
Hmm.
isn't necessarily like the most exciting thing.
Yes, 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 exactly. If your team gets 20 minutes with you and I'm getting an hour, what does that make me? Pretty
You're very
important.
important.
Um, the quote goes, at least if I'm correct, is activities fill the time allowed.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we do is we definitely challenge our team to cut what they say they're going to do in half. In matter of fact, I come up with this quote a while back, which is energy meets you at your commitment. So a lot of people look for that energy, but it's only when you've committed to someone else, essentially not to let them down, that you're able to hyper focus and bring your energy to the table for the person you committed to within the time you committed to them for.
Yeah.
So it all kind of like blends together.
Yeah.
What personal value you used to I'm gonna start this over. What personal value used to be extremely important to you that has recently flipped?
I don't know if it's recently, but I would say it's like just an evolution, right? Like whether this is, as you age, as you go through different like seasons of life. But I probably was way too much of a perfectionist and caused myself a great deal of stress and anxiety because wanting things to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I think I've learned more over the years that, you know, done is better than perfect. And that the world is moving so quickly today that, especially in marketing, right? So, I mean, content creation moves at such a quick speed that if you get too caught up in sort of this being perfect, like you never get anything done.
Mm,
Gary V is a great beacon of this, right? It's just like get the content out there, get the message out there, get your voice out there. And sometimes could it be better? Like absolutely, most of the time it could be better. But the time and energy and churn it takes from getting it to an 8 out of a 10 to a 10 out of 10 means lost opportunity for several other things. And I'd rather make sure that we got to that 8 and took the other opportunities that were available with our time, energy, and resources.
yeah. Oh man, that's huge. And I hope people hear that too, because that that's exactly right. And there was a quote that said something like my crappy content beats your no content every day.
Yes.
You know, and honestly, there's probably gonna be a little bit more authenticity as you just deliver it in the moment too. It's gonna come across a little bit more authentic, I would say as well. Of
Yeah.
course, you break down the analytics and all the things, but this is for people that are agents that are running their small business that
Yes.
could help grow it. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Worst piece of advice you ever got?
Oh my gosh. I would say that probably like most of us, I've got a lot of bad advice over the years. I would say early on. So I started as an agent. I was, in my second year of college when I got my real estate license. And I was in Nova Scotia, Canada, is where I started my career. That's where I was born and raised. Relatively like medium sized, small size market. There weren't that many sort of early 20-year-old real estate professionals in the market. And I remember going to one of my first real estate board meetings and being asked to take notes because like I was a young female, right? And the, other demographics, as you might all would expect in that environment, just kind of thought that that would make sense. It would be to ask the young female in the room to be the note taker.
Wow.
So that really kind of like upset me as like I was like a young female entrepreneur trying to find my way in business, and the really bad advice that I got was try to act like the men around you, like if you want to sort of be in that environment.
Wow.
And that was really bad advice. And I would say that for many years, like I struggled with trying to find my own voice and leadership in an environment that was heavily male dominated. Um, and that advice, sort of shaped that. And
Mm.
I remember being criticized at one point for being too aggressive in a negotiation. So this is like going way back to when I was still selling. And the realtor on the other end, who was a realtor at a competitor, said I was too aggressive in the negotiation because I was a woman, right? And women shouldn't, women should act and behave, in certain ways. So um, there's lots of that onion to peel back, but I think that we have come a long ways in our industry and in the world with things like authenticity and being able to be ourselves and show up with who we are. And as women entrepreneurs, particularly in this business, it's important for me that we lead change and make sure that we are opening up doors and sponsoring and creating environment for female entrepreneurs in particular. And that's part of the initiative of launching the eXp Women's Impact Network. So if any of you haven't joined the Women's Impact Network on Workplace, go find it. We did a great in-person event in Austin in August. We'll be having an event as part of eXpCon in Miami. Join that community with us, both men and women. But it's an important community for us as an organization and for us as an industry.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna probably push this to the women though. I feel like it's a great protective space for you guys to have conversations that I don't know, like someone like me doesn't necessarily need to jump into.
We had several men come to the Women's Impact Network Summit that was held in Austin.
Okay.
And over and over again, I heard back from those men in attendance of how valuable it was.
Oh, just to hear. Oh, that makes sense. The
Here I
perspective.
understand because there is something called unconscious bias
Yeah,
that we all carry, right?
right.
And a lot of times, I'll give you an example that I have dealt with recently. I did a podcast, and in the intro, and thank you for not doing this, my appearance was commented on as part of my intro. So very complimentary, and that's very nice. But would you ever do an intro for a male executive and comment on his appearance?
Right. No.
Right? Your body language and reaction on that like tells us everything, right? And there was no disrespect meant, right?
Right.
It was actually meant to be very complimentary to me, but that's an unconscious bias. And
Mm,
female leaders, women every day in life deal with those things every day.
yeah, I get. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even. No, I was just looking at what you've accomplished. Honestly, that's what I was trying to pull it. But next time I interview Leo, I'm like, we've got the handsome or whatever. He's gonna be like, dude, get out of here.
Yeah, don't
Um,
do that either.
no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. But thank you for that because I will pass it along. I didn't even know it existed. Um, but for any listeners, what because I know that some of these experiences do stick with us longer, and it does take a little bit to kind of peel it back. What was the final, let's say, the final straw that you said, you know what, I'm gonna be me, and people are gonna accept me for me, and I'm really good at what I do, and I'm not gonna allow that voice, that bad advice, to dictate my actions any further.
There's no one thing. I mean, I think it happens. That's a choice that I consciously make, I think, every single day, right?
Right.
I think most of us, but women in particular, like we struggle with imposter syndrome. Like it is blueprinted almost, I think, like in our DNA. So like there are lots of moments that like I have where like I need to have that little like self-talk, right? There's a saying that I have, and this goes to the endurance sports. This comes from training for endurance sports is don't listen to yourself, talk to yourself. Right? So if I'm listening to myself, that's usually negative. When you listen to that little like dark voice in your head that says, I can't do this, I'm not ready for this, I don't know enough, I'm not smart enough, what if I say the wrong thing, what if I fail? Like that is listening to yourself. When you're listening, that's almost always negative. When you talk to yourself, you can choose to pivot that into positive energy. I got this. I'm ready. I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it my all. It's okay if like it doesn't turn out exactly as I want it. I'm going to like be there. I'm going to be in this moment. I'm ready. I'm prepared. Like those are different, totally different spaces to approach something at. So for me, like that is a tool I use like whenever I'm feeling like self-doubt or uncertainty about anything is I start talking to myself and talk myself into that positive space.
Oh, I love that. It's such a good quote to carry around. I had someone tell me that you can never control the first thought in your mind, but you can always control the second.
Yeah.
And that's what this is, but it's a little bit, it's a shift in perspective, just a little bit of saying the same thing, which I love, and something that I wrote down and I'll be pushing out too. I love that. Don't listen to yourself, talk to yourself.
Yep.
Oh, I dig it. I dig it. All right, we'll wrap it up here because we got like 30 seconds.
All
But
right.
but what profession other than your own would be fun to attempt?
I have two answers for you. So, my dream profession was when I was younger to be an attorney. I always like thought like being an attorney would be like an amazing profession. Since then, have changed my mind completely on all of that. Um, but then my alter ego profession is like I would love to be a performer. I cannot sing. I can't carry a tune in a bucket. Had terrible stage fright when I was a kid. So do so much public speaking now, but that has been like a really like a work in progress.
Yeah.
But I have such admiration for performers and what they do. So if I were living in an alternate universe, that would be my profession.
I like it. What profession though would be the entertainment side? So you said singing. Would it be music? Would it be dancing? What would it be?
I mean, like, yeah, I want to be like the lead singer of the best rock band ever, right? Like, I'm dreaming, let's go big, right?
I love it. Well, maybe we gotta do that at EXP Con. We'll start a band, and that way everyone can just enjoy us.
So yeah, like I have zero ability.
Yeah. Well, before I let you go, what would your band be called? And I'll let you go.
Oh, I have no idea. It would have to be something cool. I'd have to think about that one.
You give it a chat GPT.
All right, I will give it to ChatGPT.
Anything work it well, let's do this. Where can everybody find you? What if they have any questions, how can they reach out to you? Just throw it out there.
Yep, you can find me at Workplace. So Workplace, chat me. You can find me there. I put my social handle underneath my photo there on the screen. So at Brand Wendy, go follow me on Instagram. Try to push out lots of great content for you there. Wendy Forsyth on Facebook will get me there. Same as LinkedIn. So connect with me. Would love to hear from all of you.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I will see you in Miami. And for everybody else who's listening, do what? I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say I will see you in Miami.
That's what I'm talking about. For everyone else, if you do have any questions or concerns or comments, just make sure you ask it. We will get to it. I very much appreciate it, Wendy. Thank you so much.
much.
Bye-bye.
See ya.